Somebody came to our meetings here, was on a bike tour. Really?
They're very popular. I don't know if I could do it. I need an electric bike. That's pretty sure.
Right.
Right. All right, I got 6:10 by Verizon time,
Why did we pick 6:10, by the way?
so that maybe people would remember
Okay.
instead of 6:15 or 6 o'clock. Or,
What the thought was.
well, I know I might not be able to get here by 6, but I
Okay.
could get here by 6:10.
Okay, got it.
And I figured that we would, even with 6:10, we would be done by 7 o'clock.
It's all right. Just wondering.
Yeah.
And maybe there's some magic in Farmington that we're unaware of.
No, no.
Well, happy hour goes from 5 to 6 and it
Oh.
takes them 10 minutes to get here.
That is what we did. Okay.
We actually left at 5:45. Yeah.
You go, Brian, you're rolling then.
It's right around the corner.
If it's 6:10, then I'm not late.
Yep. So, all right, Robin's here from Water and Sewer, and I do expect Dave Connie. So the very first thing we sent you was the kind of a bullet listing of 2023 water projects. So North Road is complete. All the restoration is done. It obviously will have some settlement in it. The contractor will come back and dress it up, but I did notice there's grass growing already, so that's a good thing. I think Jared got one call on it, but we haven't received anything yet.
They called about mailboxes being
Oh, yeah.
settled
Yeah.
and crooked. We
Yeah.
fixed them today, I believe.
Okay, yep, that's right. Dave mentioned this morning about fixing a couple of mailboxes, you know. County Road 8, MRB's in the design process. And we put money in the budget to continue further down County Road 8. Water department, they're continuing to do valve maintenance, hydrant flushing and maintenance. We still had THM problems, so we're continuing to flush. Our last group of readings, the only area that was high was County Road 8 out of the 4 locations. So it's obviously the longest distance for water to travel. Unilink system went live in June. We got a couple of quarterly billings under our hands, and work seemed to be working great. And then Brickyard Road tank and transmission line, we're scheduling to bid that in November. Do you want to cover that a little bit?
Yep, so we pretty much have all the resolutions in place, financing and funding in place, no different than before. The plans have been pretty much updated. Couple more tweaks to the electrical, and we're bidding basically 2 alternatives for the shaft of the tank, which is a bare bones, just heat the area that we have water piping in to try to pare back if we want to reduce some costs there, and then also to condition the entire shaft, which, you know, is about the size of this room. So, you know, that is an alternative we had before. So we'll be able to see how those prices come in and decide whether it's worth putting that conditioned space throughout the entire shaft. The transmission main along the driveway was also pulled out to be part of the overall water main transmission portion of the project, because of the complaints that we got last time from the tank manufacturer about having to do that work within that narrow corridor. So that being said, the schedule is to have plans and specs available October 31st. A pre-bid meeting on November 16th, and then open bids on November 30th. And then that should give us plenty of time to award and assess, you know, what we get for bids and be ready to go for springtime construction. The tank obviously will lag. With the lead time, don't expect that till midsummer probably, but the pipe work can be done, you know, as soon as we get bids and we commit. So, you guys had questions? I know we still will have to contend with the driveway and the trees and everything that we have there. So I think before we get started, we'll wanna maybe even meet with that homeowner We never got the easements from them, so, you know, it's gonna be a touchy situation.
You mean by homeowner, you mean. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
I had a question on the $13 million bid that we had previously.
Mhm.
Those were actual bids that came back from an RFP, correct?
they
When it was
were
13?
originally, yes,
And those were all including the conditioner shaft, correct?
they did.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Yep, that was basically how we bid it the first time
Yeah.
around. Yeah.
That's my understanding.
And the updated budget was based on, you know, us reaching back out to the tape manufacturers to understand what the escalation is from that time, so hopefully. That's okay. We're on target.
where does it stand with the easement and. H and Echo, and I mean, I haven't heard much lately.
Well, let's
Well-
talk about that. Are you talking about Pritchard?
I am
Okay,
talking about
yeah.
Pritchard in that case, yeah, sorry, Pritchard's the one that didn't give us the easement. To access
Could get in.
back to the tank, so we just have the corridor. That's a very tight easement. With a lot of stuff going on back there and I'm concerned about the trees, I'm just pointing it out because I think. That's something we'll have to be cognizant of when we start constructing, so. And then Geneco, the only thing that I had on my list for them was. the
Going
same
back,
thing.
how wide is the easement?
I don't know, maybe 30 feet.
I think it's
30.
about. Because the trees down through there are actually on Pritchard's property.
And I think we discovered the fence
But
isn't correct either.
Yes, the north fence is on their property, which will be moved. The rest of it's okay.
Which will fix, yep, that's been a project. And the trees. Hang over onto the easement, so. I think our position is we would trim the trees. So that we have less damage to the trees, that was a big concern.
But as far as the other one, I mean, is that all? That's not all set either.
No, it's not. So I had a conversation with Jared this morning about that. I guess he had called last week wanting a definitive. Janeco called last week wanting a definitive timeline when everything was going to be done. And so what I suggested is maybe that we come up with a memorandum of understanding, put it before the town board, so there's an official. Timeline and record of everything for the board, more so than the rest of the stuff, but so anyway, so. We need to get that. Going. I don't think he's really opposed. I think he just wants to know kind of what's to expect. And
We know what he expects.
right. Then we have to figure out how to pay for it.
Right.
Yeah, over and above the water line.
Right.
It's-
Yeah.
Yeah, the residential structure too that come down, you know, that's on our radar, and then. I don't know, Doug, if you think it's worth trying to give them a timeline ahead of time, or. If we take bids and we have a contractor and we have their schedule. Then it might be a better time to give Geneco, hey, here's how
Yeah.
we anticipate things going.
I think that would. Work well for him, and I know from my conversation with Jim, the Canandaigua construction crew is ready for demolition as soon as you say. So, right.
Yep. Any questions on the first group from Dennis there? And then new water main installed, most of that is all by contractors, so. 2 different projects in Hathaway's Corners. Which is in the corner of 332 and County Road 41. Just a short piece on Safe Place Storage, which is Commercial Drive off from. That road. Hunter Max, that 1,100 foot is almost all, it's all internal. But it's because of the fire hydrants putting around their warehouse building. There's a, extra requirement in there to have them put in water. And then we're also talking to them originally, and we're gonna go underneath Hook Road for a second access to water. And now we're talking with them about, their southern property line, running a line across to Ingleside Machine Shop, because there's a 8-inch line there. It's shorter and we're not digging in the edge of the road. So we're gonna see if they agree to that. Should save them some money, actually. Country Mat, so I mentioned North Road, that is again, that was a long stretch and it's basically done. 332 and 96, remember we bored underneath east and west and north and south at that location. $1.1 million, most of it ARPA money. Carmen's Way is a short extension of Carmen's Way on Hathaway's Corners. It's the eastern border of the new villas that are going in. And then Ackerman Way is a new road over in Auburn Meadows. There's only like 5 lots left in there or something. Those houses, Ryan Homes, have been selling real fast. So that's that's the new stuff in 23. 24, Flat Road in 332. It's been on the long range schedule. We're using some of our ARPA funds for that. Got a bore underneath 332. Cranberry Road water line replacement. That originally was just a cul-de-sac. And I had in the budget last year 125, and then I raised it to 150,000 with inflation. What happened is now the highway department wants to total rebuild the whole road. That's in the Farmbrook subdivision. So we jumped into the budget and all right, we'll do the water line at the same time. So that's why that big number is there. Route 332 water line replacement, again, almost all that is ARPA funds. And there's a section from County Road 41 to Kentucky Fried Chicken that's out of service right now. Had all kinds of water main breaks there in the swamp area. And as I mentioned earlier, design of County Road 8, Phase 2. The money left over from North Road, we'll use that to get the next section of County Road 8 design. Any questions there? And beyond 2024, obviously multiple phases for County Road 8. Multiple phases back in the Farmbrook subdivision for Dalton Drive. We still got on their radar from Yerkes Road from 332 to County Road 8. Replace that section. We did most of it west of 332, was done a couple of years ago by our town forces. We definitely got to look at preventive maintenance at a minimum at the North Farmington storage tank. And then County Road 8, between County Road 8 and 332, between 332 and east going to County Road 8, we've had numerous breaks in there, so that'll also be in a long range plan. And there's a few other areas along 96, and, will come up over time. Then I gave you a complete line by line budget appropriations and revenues. Biggest thing is the applied fund balance. We hadn't used any for quite a few years. With 23 budget, we used 104. And this year is 476,000. So we obviously don't want to be doing that every year. This also includes the bond money that we set aside every year to get up to 800,000. We're at 600,000 in the preliminary budget, so we jumped 200,000 more, and then in the 25 budget we'll jump another whatever it has to be to meet the bond payment once the Rickard Road get our actual costs and numbers.
What the unassigned fund balance is. That's not a big deal.
It's It's on the revenue side or the appropriation?
You're talking about the actual balance in the account.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's 2 million, 2-1, something like that. And there's money set aside in the water department along with the sewer department for a new building. And there's a line in the water, small dollar amount of $30,000 for the Manchester transmission line. We try to put a little bit in there every year for the 20-inch line that goes into the town and village of Manchester.
So your capital improvement plan 5-year forecast doesn't, it's not including anything for the $15 million.
It's kind of like, it's already on the schedule, so yeah, I didn't bother including that. The next sheet is the appropriation of the tax sheet. Went down 3.4 cents in Farmington and 5.5 cents in Canandaigua for the actual tax rate. People will be paying a little bit more with the assessed values in both towns, but I think both towns have kind of been preparing the residents that water's not cheap anymore.
So, Canandaigua Town Board, just so you know, so you see here on this sheet, the supervisor's got a number of 285,288. So our preliminary budget for 24 has a number of 287,269. So we're gonna have to decide what to do with that $1,000, whether or not we just put it in contingency or on them or whatever, but we'll figure that out. There's tomorrow night and on Monday night, so. But
Okay.
it's essentially, it's
Close.
what the preliminary budget says.
Right.
I think you should buy a square foot of asphalt.
Very short.
And then the last sheet was the 5-year capital plan. Again, North Road is done. Button 332. Some of that is going to be in this year. Potentia Road and the apartments is going to be in this year into next year. On Road 8 design, we have, 109 is in this year's budget, and then another 110 for next year's budget. Cranberry is the big number. And then County Road 8, I got it into 3 phases. It'll be expensive. I think the initial estimate was 1.5 million to do just from County Road 8 to 96. We just have to see how far we can go.
So Peter, how much of this is self-performed work versus how much of it is contracted work?
The Yerkes Road will probably be us. Like Farm Brook Cranberry, we're gonna contract it out for the road and the water.
Okay,
Let's see. Not sure with the water department on the next extension on that's the road from the apartments north, whether we do that or it goes out for a contract. Most of the other is planned for contract. When we get up. When we go north on County Road 8, you get up in the flats. North of the gully in Yerkes Road, Town Line Road, up to 96. A lot of that is just farmland and very few hookups. We probably could do some of that. But on the gully portion right now, we're planning for engineering it and that would go out to bid also.
Okay.
Can I ask another question? What, are any of the pipes old enough that we need to worry about any of the lead testing that was required by the federal government?
Yeah, we believe we have no lead water pipes
Okay,
at all.
and none of those, what was it, composite or whatever it was?
Yeah,
Okay.
we've got some, ones with the asbestos in it, but. Just from talking to the guys that retired from here a few years ago. They don't ever remember any lead pipes. And Dave, you said recently we just found some maps too of 332 and that showed all,
Well, 332 was redone in 90.
yeah, so that would be,
So everything from the city line up to County Road 41 is all from, 90.
Yep.
From there to 96 is the older pipe, and that's what we've got part of it shut down and. But we haven't found anything in there so far that's lead.
They did that sheet with you the percent that you had talked about at Public Works this morning of lead checked out.
They are going through the inventory right now though, and using the GIS system, they've eliminated quite a bit of the distribution system based on the age of the structures and that, so.
Yep.
They've got a lot of information on tap cards, so we're really not in too bad a shape as far as the inventory goes.
No, we have about 3,043 points that we're looking at that we need to verify. And we've got 751 of those, or 25% of them verified that there's no lead in them. On our side or the resident or the customer side. And the other 75% is split up into some we know that there's no lead on the municipal asset, some we know there's no lead on the customer asset. So, as Bill just said, we're very well along on this. There's only, out of the 3,043, there's only 1,286 that we don't know anything about yet. And this is due in a year. So.
Yeah. Have you required any additional funding from the district to fund that work, or it's just been?
Oh, this work?
Yeah.
We're having it done by an intern.
Yeah, we were lucky, and you remember Jack Heenan. Rest his soul. I have to say one thing, Jack kept accurate records. And he had 30 some books.
That was
Of every address.
Before Jack, some of that.
And some was before Jack. And, each house address as it was put in, little sketch, copper in, copper out, like.
Oh,
A lot of the department,
bless you.
they took time to photostat every one of them. And then send it to water and sewer to put it in the address, location, and as Dave said, we've had 2 different interns work with us, posting that information up on our GIS and our spreadsheet. Come a long ways, really, with part-time interns.
When your interns need their second co-op, please feel free to tell them to check out.
Yep, we start out with one. You start out with one from NCC, and we got one from FLCC for the highway side of the house for our Cornell roads, and then the second one is from RAT for water and sewer. And he's only working now 2 days a week once he went back to college, and half a day wherever he can before his classes start up again. But it's working out good.
Greg said you guys are set up with the same GIS system, right? Then just matter of getting the data over there.
Yep. So, hey, talk to Jim Crane and Tom Simons and Paul Flagg, all that are retired years ago. They don't even think there's any houses with lead, but Gotta go through the process and
Mhm.
check it all out.
Thank you.
Sure.
We have what they said. some warehouses were-
Yeah, most of ours got tore down.
Right.
So. Yeah. Any other questions at all? All right. Appreciate everybody coming. We can have a motion to move the 2024 budget. So moved by Terry, have a second? Second by Steve, all in favor? Aye. All right. Thank you very much.
For your work putting it together.
Wish they were all that easy.
Yeah.
Maybe they are.
Include my own budget.
Be a good day for me.
You guys know Fred Lightfoot, right? On the Senate, yeah, he's in his cancer's come back, so he's supposed to go today, but they put him off till Thursday for his first round.